There's a lot of checks and balances, but there's also a lot of red tape, I would say, that stops us from facilitating the flow of contraband in the jail. And there's this constant fight between human rights, which even inmates, and sometimes it's hard to swallow this, but even your rapists and your pedophiles in Canada, they're entitled to specific rights. So it's hard to do the things we need to do sometimes and still keep true to those human rights, right? Mm-hmm. So we're bound like that, but it's not the Wild West in there anymore. Like, it's not, officers aren't in there crushing skulls. It's quite the opposite, right? Our use of force is very cookie cutter, very strict in what we're allowed to do, and anything outside of that without mitigating circumstances and variables can land you in trouble. Like that George Floyd thing, putting your knee on someone's neck. Mm-hmm. If I did that for 3 seconds in my job, I'd be brought upstairs, probably suspended. Mm-hmm. That shit doesn't fly. Now in transition, could my knee be on his back for a second? That's just the gray area of a scuffle. Mm-hmm. But for me to put my knee on an offender's neck, even for a couple seconds, with the intent and malice that you could clearly see that officer had, that shit doesn't fly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think that shit flies in any ministry in Canada, any type of law enforcement, corrections, federal corrections, any type of police service. That shit doesn't fly. So
yeah, I had a buddy do time at San Quentin.
Okay.
And then he told me he got in a fight with two Mexicans. He was native. He got in a fight with two Mexican guys, and he fought one on the yard. He fought the one guy for like 20 minutes. So it means there was nobody around. He fought the one guy for 20 minutes. He took a break. He fought the next guy for 20 minutes, and then again took another break. And then after that, I was accepted by everybody because he held his own for so long.
There's still those old school jail rules still. Yeah. Some of them are still there, you know. Like, clearly, if you're a sex offender, if you've hurt children, that's why you sign protective custody. The old school inmates or guys that don't have those charges aren't fond of you, to say the least, right? So those old school things, I mean, it's changed. It's not like the movies. A lot of those.
That's the big misconception is you automatically assume as a jail guard you're dealing with shitbags all the time, and you're beating them up, or you're leaving the door open so a guy can go in and juke the guy up.
There's a lot of guys in there that I can do a tour. I can tour a range with 30 guys, and I can shoot the shit with lots of them, man. They're just guys in there for certain circumstances, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, got caught doing something that a lot of people probably do, you know, guys that drink and drive. They're not necessarily all bad people in there. Like I said, I can tour and shoot the shit. And
we had an epidemic here, man. It's still kind of around is inmates dying, overdose.
Yep. Oh, that's probably every law enforcement, ours too, for fentanyl and carfentanol.
Yeah. How do they get this stuff in there? Keister?
Well, yeah, the jail wallet, I would say, but there's also you can never really nip it in the butt. But they go to court every day. There's
if you
lots
had
of
full
ways.
Control, how would you stop it from getting in? How are they getting it in? Do you know?
Man, that might be above my pay grade. I mean, it involves that philosophical argument. How much human rights are you willing to violate to stop the flow of the narcotics into the jail, right?
So are they bringing it in themselves, or are they having somebody else?
It's like a multi.
Because I always wonder that. Because I had a friend, he died in jail, drug overdose.
It's terrible.
It's fucking super terrible. But at the same time, I'm like, how are they getting this? How are they getting it in? You think everything was locked down. The guy comes in, and it's like, I've heard stories of a guy, come in, the guy's got to turn around, he's got to spread his cheeks. They say, hey,
I mean, we have scanners, but again, they're like any machine. They can be tricked, and then you never know. They go to court every day. They can bring it in themselves. I'm sure. Listen, it's complicated, and I'm trying not to get myself in trouble talking about it. But I'm sure in some facilities there's officers bringing it in, there's volunteers bringing it in, lawyers bringing it in. They're bringing it in themselves, and every jail is probably a little bit more of one thing than the other. Yeah. But minus all that, the fact is it's still getting in. Yeah. And inmates it's not. I mean, we're in danger of it too, but it's the inmates that are dying from it.
Yeah.
Right. So they still got a lot of work to do on trying to figure that out, because the more we go towards the human rights thing, and again, I'm not against sticking up for human rights, but some of those human rights will get in the way of us
being able to stop
right? Because there's human rights advocates.
Saving lives.
Yeah, there's human rights advocates that are saying that we shouldn't be able to do strip searches. Mm-hmm. It's against someone's human right to make them strip naked for you if they don't want to. It's almost constituting rape, right? Can't cut their clothes off anymore during a scuffle, or you can't, like, we're constantly teetering on that line, and not only is it probably above my pay grade, but I haven't dived into the ethics and philosophy of where
you almost think if they were if they had left the prison and they come back, you sit them in a room for 48 hours until they took a crap. You can they can empty out. There's really
they can but if they swallowed it, they can have it for days in them, right?
Wow.
So it's and these guys, the ones that are really good at it, they're good at it, right?
Yeah.
So there's only so much we can do, but we're all trained as officers with our Narcan kits, and we still have a duty. We have to be safe, but we have a duty to get in there and to save their lives. So there would never be an opportunity as a correctional officer that I would walk by and see an inmate in distress like that, and not go in there and try to help them. And that's definitely ministry wide. We're not there to let inmates die. So we're there. We have Narcan. We have all that. And I work with a lot of great officers that have saved a lot of inmates, and that shit never makes the news. But it happens all the time. CPR, Narcan. I've seen officers bring guys back from being blue. They're done.
That's crazy.
And you never see that stuff make the news.
Yeah.
You hear it when an inmate dies from fentanyl, and it's tragic, and it shouldn't happen because that stuff shouldn't get into the institution. But I work with a lot of great officers that have saved a lot of lives and put their lives at risk doing it, because that stuff can cross-contaminate you. Gets on your lips, gets on any opening like that, and you'll drop too, right?